Welcome to the Red Pill Awareness Need a Conversation for Men podcast. I am one of your hosts, Herb. I am with my brother and the other host,
Jason D.
And we are trying this remote thing for a change. So we're going to see how this plays out. Hopefully the sound quality is good. And we're going to try and get this show done remotely for a change. So let us know if the sound quality is an issue. This is an experiment, so if it goes well, we'll probably try and do this a little more often. And if the sound quality is just ass, then we'll not do it again. But let us know in the comments if the sound is crap or if it's something that you really don't want us doing again. So, with that being said, this episode, I want to address, or I want to kind of explore something that I ran across on a couple of YouTube videos I found very interesting. And the question I want to propose is, if a black man or a black woman is in a interracial relationship, do they in turn automatically forfeit the right to speak on certain black racial and cultural issues? The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I ran across two videos on YouTube that kind of posed this question to me. And both of the videos were done by a YouTuber by the name of O'Shea Duke Jackson. I think I'm right. Yeah. Again, I know I've mentioned him probably in another video. I highly recommend following that brother. He makes some really, really good content. He really kind of discussed things from a blue pill perspective. But he made two videos, and one of the videos was directed towards another YouTuber by the name of Donovan Sharp, who's also a YouTuber that's in the Black Manosphere that does a lot of red pill content also. Actually, kind of the first people that I was introduced to when it came to red pill content. And he's very smart. Content's very sharp. Albeit a bit controversial sometimes, because I will express that some of his content not everybody's going to agree with. But none.
That's putting it mildly.
Right. I still will recommend him, especially for brothers that really want to kind of get a different perspective on blue pill ideology and stuff like that. But O'Shea Duke Jackson made a video on him. And then he also made a video on Michael B. Jordan. And the reason being is that both of those two particular gentlemen are in interracial relationships. And the first video that he made was pertaining to Donovan Sharp in reference to a young lady that we also mentioned before in a previous video by the name of what was her name again? And Anika Marie. And so, long story short, with that particular situation, Donovan Sharp basically felt as though that Indika Marie really should not be a dating coach for black men when it comes to dating black women. He pretty much kind of felt as though that the things that she's speaking on, she's really just kind of taking advantage of the manosphere and using red pill content to kind of twist the narrative to put sisters in a much better light, so to speak. And O'Shea Duke Jackson pretty much said, in a sense, because you are in a relationship with a white woman and you made it very, very known how you feel about sisters in general, you forfeit your card to speak on any kind of issues like this. You know, bottom line, you're not in the position to really speak on it. You know, he agrees with a lot of his content, but this particular thing, he felt as though that he really didn't have a right to speak on it, given his positions towards sisters and also given the fact that he only exclusively date white women. And Donovan Sharp has made that relatively known, his disinterest and his dislike for sisters. And Donovan Sharp is black. Yeah. You know what, Jay?
He really doesn't like sisters, man.
Jay, I'll let you kind of elaborate on that a little bit because I know how strongly that bothers you initially. So
It bothered me when I was trying to give him a listening ear. Let me clarify that. If he dislikes sisters, he dislikes sisters. I know a lot of brothers that have tapped out from sisters. He has a hatred for sisters. Like if you don't date them, you don't date. Like I don't particularly date Caucasian women. It's never happened. It probably never will. You know what I mean? But I don't have a disdain for them. I can still say, hey, she's gorgeous, or she's a beautiful woman, or great. I'll still compliment them on who they are. But I've never went down that road before. And at this
that's
point,
not your bag.
It probably never will be my bag because you catch what you can hunt. I don't know how to hunt them. So, you know what I mean? I mean, you need some Starbucks and some nuts and some yoga classes. I don't know. But I don't know how to hunt them. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the white girls out there. Y'all are cute too, but I just never been down that road before, and I probably never will. Now, just because I prefer women of color, I don't automatically, for lack of a better word, shit on white women in groups when I know that there's some attractive white women on there. Mr. Sharp does that repeatedly. He showed videos where sisters were talking and he said, well, look at this one, she's ugly and this one is fat. And I'm like, I don't see the same people in the video that you see because you tripping.
He rates sisters very low.
Brutal.
So I definitely want to stress that because it's relevant to the subject at hand. Now, and I'll get into my thoughts and my agreements and disagreements on that in a second. But I also want to set up the other scenario because there's different spectrums or levels to it. So the other video that was made by O'Shea Jackson was about Michael B. Jordan. And to kind of summarize that, Michael B. Jordan spoke on the Meg Thee Stallion situation being shot by Tory Lanez. Mm-hmm. And Meg basically kind of expressed the fact that, sisters need to be protected. There's a lot of people out here that don't, a lot of brothers and a lot of people in general that don't really protect sisters and things of that nature. And, it makes it difficult for us to speak out and speak up on the things that happen to us because, we might be victims, but some people might not classify us as victims because of X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. So, and Michael B. Jordan basically kind of praised Meg Thee Stallion and said, I'm with you, speak out, I stand beside you, sister, basically telling her, like, listen, as a black woman, yeah, we as black men need to protect our sisters more and kind of work towards making sure that they are protected. Because when it comes to certain crimes and things like that, or the type of image you portray and stuff like that, a lot of sisters aren't protected. He basically bigged her up and, praised her for speaking and saying what's on her mind. And again, O'Shea Jackson pretty much felt as though basically Michael B. Jordan really, really is not in a position to speak on that because of the fact that he's in a relationship with a woman. I don't think she's white, but I think she's not a sister. That's for sure. I think she's from European descent to some degree. And also Michael B. Jordan has had a track record of kind of, I'm not going to say exclusively, but he's dated more out of his race than in his race. I don't know the particulars per se. I've seen a few interviews, and I think Jay has probably seen more interviews than I have with Michael B. Jordan pertaining to this.
I've seen maybe 3 or 4 right around the time when he started getting big, when he started getting, I want to say right after the Fantastic Four movies, which was horrible. He started getting the Creed movies
I was talking around Creed. Yeah, I was thinking around Creed.
The movie where the young brother got shot in the subway. He started getting some acclaim. And when you start getting hot, they start looking, because that's what Americans do. We start looking at your personal life. Mm-hmm. We don't even care about your body work. It's all about who you're dating, who you're with, sexual preference. The same old crap that we obsess over. And so they started putting him under the microscope and saw that he was with more Anglo-Saxon women than sisters. And it kept coming up and coming up. He said, listen, he said, for the most part, When I was growing up, I was skinny. I was in the anime. I was in the books and science and math and geeky movies and action figures. And sisters were not checking for me. So who was checking for me is who I date. It's not that I don't like sisters. It's who I date. But a lot of times, many sisters don't want to hear that. Y'all didn't want to hear that when Wesley Snipes said the same thing. It's not that I don't want to date black women. It's that I could not get run over by a car by a black woman at an all-female black woman race car track. I couldn't get a date to save my life, even when I started getting fame. So I started dating Asian women. Nothing against sisters. It's just, you going, like I said, you going to catch what you can hunt.
Right. And so O'Shea kind of went at him as well.
Of course.
To that effect, I will say this, and to kind of relate to what you're saying. Some of y'all, a lot of listeners that know me and Jay, y'all know that me and Jay lived in Atlanta for way back in the day for a number of years. I was there for a total of 2 years, And the crazy thing is, when I first heard and thought of living in Atlanta, all I basically thought about was the fact this the land of sisters, there's badass sisters there, and sisters with crazy bodies, and they, it's easy to talk to them out there because they're not like Philly women, this, that, and the third. It's all I heard for most of my high school life up until I finally went out there. And the crazy thing is, when I was out there for the combined number of 3 years, I didn't mess with not one sister out there. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't like I set out to be like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. Or fuck sisters. No, it's just at the time, sisters didn't want to mess with me. If I wasn't if I wasn't going to a black school, if I wasn't part of a black fraternity, I wasn't an entrepreneur, I didn't have a whole lot of money or whatever, the interest level was zero. I'll never forget working in the Lenox Mall, where there's bad women all the time. But of course, what I later on realized is it's Lenox Mall. It's, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like where people go on the hunt looking for people that got bread or status, or whatever the case may be. And so, I end up, my entire 3 years there, I end up messing with a white woman, a Japanese woman, and an Indian woman. Those 3 years I was there. And it wasn't by design. It's just, that's what was giving me the time of day. So when I hear things like that, I understand. I completely understand, because sometimes it's just how it is, and especially today, where a lot of things that were said in a lot of Michael B. Jordan interviews are considered corny and boring and things like that. Some sisters just they want a guy that got, as we've heard, they gotta have swag, they gotta have a certain cool to them, they gotta have a certain look to them, and if you don't fit that profile, you're not gonna have the time of day. It's what it is. You know what I mean? There's no way around that. It is what it is. So, with that being said, my thoughts and feelings on that is, when it comes to these videos, I thought it was very interesting, because I feel like with those two examples, they're very different examples of a question and an issue that I think shouldn't have a blanket universal answer. In the case of Donovan Sharp, and me being a follower of his content, and I still listen to his content, but I've had to come to the realization that there's certain things that I'm never going to agree with when it comes to that. I agree with a lot of things he said, and he's opened my eyes to a lot of things, but there's certain things that he says I will never agree with. I do feel as though if you have a strong disdain for sisters, anything that's dealing with relationships and women and our sisters as a whole, I have to agree, I don't think you should speak on. Because in the words of O'Shea Duke Jackson, you're compromised. And I agree with that. I don't care about his dating preference personally. Most men that chooses to go that route usually has a reason. And sisters may not like that reason. They may not agree with it, or they feel as though it's not valid, but it's a reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
His experiences probably led him to make that decision, especially given the fact that maybe he had a whole bunch of bad experiences with sisters, and then he started realizing that, European women started giving him more attention, which I could say for Donovan Sharp's case, listening to his content, that's pretty much the case. And Donovan's from here. This is like, he's from Philadelphia. His show is based out of Philadelphia, but he's lived in California. He's lived in Nevada. He's traveled different places throughout the country, outside the country. So being as though he's from here, I can't really knock his experiences to some degree. However, I do feel as though that when it comes to that, he doesn't really have a right to speak on that. Basically, because of his strong feelings when it comes to sisters, yeah, I do believe certain things he really shouldn't speak on. And I think if men in general have that issue, that strong disdain towards sisters, and I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling that way or you shouldn't feel that way. Your experience is going to lead you to feel how you want to feel, and you're entitled to that. But it's going to be very obvious that your viewpoint when it comes to dating and relationships with sisters is going to be skewed and compromised. So yeah, I definitely feel like he really shouldn't speak on it at all, because it's not going to be productive. It's not going to be unbiased.
Right.
It's clearly going to come from a space that is going to be negative. And I mean, who really wants to hear that? I mean, listen, the man's entitled to his own views, and I would never knock his views, but I
think you're entitled to your views, but if it's hatred, shut the fuck up. This is how I feel about it. Like, nobody wants to hear that shit. It's not constructive. Your mama came from a sister too. If you're not feeling them, fine. Just leave it at that. Like, if that's not your bad, it's not your bad.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And something that you said that he's kind of stressed in his shows is that, he's kind of had a rocky relationship with his mother, and that also plays a part in it too. So, I mean, now in the case of Michael B. Jordan, and just in general, he's not of that spectrum of I hate sisters. He's made that very, 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 very known. So, and at the end of the day, the man is black, and just because he's dating someone that's not black doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to speak on certain issues, especially when it comes to our sisters. Because at the end of the day, as you stated earlier, his mother's black. So anything pertaining to, and if he has siblings or sisters and female cousins, things like that, all these things allows him to speak on that. Just because he chooses to date someone else that's not a sister doesn't disqualify him from speaking on it. And I was very surprised when I started kind of digging into this, how many people really had that sentiment of, if you're dating outside your race, then you can't really speak on black issues. Like, all of a sudden you're no longer black because you're compromised. And I was very surprised at how much, and looking into it, I was really seeing people's attitudes and mindset when it comes to that. And, and for the audience, if you guys are kind of on the same channel, put in the comments and kind of state why. I'm curious to hear as to why you feel that way. Because I mean, especially given everything that's going on today, I think you're black, period. That's not going to change regardless of who you date or whatever. And there's certain issues as a black person that you're always going to be qualified to speak on because you're black, unless you just choose to not acknowledge your culture. And there's some brothers and sisters out there that just they don't really want to acknowledge the culture, or they just view the culture in a negative light. So they don't claim it, or they don't own it, or they don't speak on it. But I was surprised. I mean, Jay, tell me, give me your thoughts on both of those examples, and then just your overall thoughts on that? Because
I
I'm
don't think
surprised.
that dating outside your nationality disqualifies you to speak on black issues. You're still a black woman. You're still a black man. You still got to go through stuff. That's just my personal feeling on it. If you date someone outside your race and then proclaim that now, because you've chosen to date outside your race, people that look like you are no longer on your level and inferior to you and not worthy of dating you, now we got a problem. So if you're speaking negatively about your own, you know what I mean, that can get your black card snatched very quickly.
Mm.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
But if you still ride for your culture and ride for your people, I don't think it diminishes you if you date outside your race. You people gonna, if you spend enough time with somebody of the opposite sex, feelings are going to either occur or not occur. If they occur, you're going to act on them most of the time. It doesn't matter what nationality the person is.
Yeah.
There's been people that say they wouldn't do certain things with certain people and spend time with them and got to know that person and it clicked. So I'm not saying never say never, but to get on track, I don't think if I was to marry someone that wasn't a woman of color, that I would be less pro-black.
Yeah, because then you have another section of people that view someone that let's just say of mixed descent. So another thing that popped up in kind of my digging when it came to this was how a lot of people felt as though our vice president elect, what's her name, Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
There was a group of people that really felt as though that because she's not fully black and she has parents of different origin, because I think her dad was black. I can't remember the top of my head, but one of her parents was like Jamaican or something, or from the Caribbean, and another one was like, I want to say of Latin descent, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I think Cuban, but I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on it. But I just know that in her commercial, she does speak of her parents being both are immigrants from other countries and not from the United States. And a lot of people have said that she really shouldn't. She's not qualified to speak on black issues because of her background, which I don't know if to me you look at her. As far as I'm concerned, she's a light-skinned black woman. As far as I'm concerned,
I
and as
think it's
far as
because of some of the stuff she spoke on, or things she voted, or here we go. We spoke about this before, man. When it comes to politics in the U.S., listen, you're only going to get some kind of sort of representation from us in small doses. You ain't never going to get 100% real bruh in no office, man.
right.
It ain't never going to happen. You're never going to get somebody from the block. You're never going to get somebody that's completely pro-black, because you have to be a part of that system and play the game to move forward in that. It's just the way, like, you can't be 100% yourself in corporate America. It ain't never going to happen.
Right.
Herb can
Absolutely.
speak on that. I can speak on that. Does not mean you're selling out. It does not mean your time in the cooning. So don't come for me in the comments. I'm just saying, if you've worked in corporate, you can't be all you all day in corporate. You can't.
Listen, because best believe when I work my job and I make phone calls in a corporate environment, I definitely do have my white voice.
Right.
I have my white. Nah, yeah, I can't be like on the phone like, yo, what's good, my dude? What's going on, my G? Like I can't. I definitely got. As a matter of fact, there was a movie that was about that. God, I can't think of the name of that movie. Where when he was answering phone calls or whatever, he was a brother and he had his white voice and whatnot. So I mean, yeah, you gotta know how to step in those environments and act in those environments. So that's definitely true. You can't, and even in politics, I don't know. I thought it was just really interested and odd of the fact that certain people there's a select group of people that feel as though, based on who you choose to date, you're no longer able to speak on black. Like I think it applies to certain people. I don't think it should apply universally. Like the chick that married the Prince Harry, one of them damn British dudes, the black chick, Meghan Markle or whatever.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really wouldn't want her speaking on any kind of black issues. Like I no. Like I
But why
wouldn't.
her?
Because her behaviors and the things that she's doing is so far removed from that. So I don't know. I mean, she can to some degree because I think a lot of things that are happening to her is race related, happening to her and her husband race related, but also because of the fact I just think she's crazy. But that's just me. But I don't, I don't feel as though she should. If something comes up, I mean, when it comes to maybe like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that, I think any black person can speak on that. But if she starts talking about black men in particular and the behaviors and natures of black men and dating, and no, sis, no. You so far removed from that.
She probably wouldn't though.
Oh, I'm pretty
I
sure
just
she wouldn't.
I just nothing about her behavior and mannerisms
Yeah,
before she got on with the whole royal family would
yeah,
make me think
right,
she would. Now I
right.
do give her a lot of props for stepping off from that racist ass regime and taking her dude with her. And not just rolling with it because they would have more money if they stayed with it. I
Right,
give her props for that though. Because
right.
that took a lot of heart. You know what I mean? And shout out
Yeah,
to the prince for rolling with his queen. Like, yo, if y'all don't bang with my queen, who's black, I'm not rolling with y'all no more. That took a lot of heart.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
I'll
it took a
give
lot of heart.
I'll give credit what credit's due for that. But I'm just saying that's just an example of like I would find it odd if she was speaking on certain black issues. I'd just be looking like, for real. And and to be honest with you, with Michael B. Jordan, it's not even that I feel as though he shouldn't speak on that shit. I just don't understand why are you keeping up to Meg Thee Stallion? That's a whole nother fucking that right there. I'm confused. I'm confused.
But she the it
That
girl right now. So
and see
whoever
the it
is, but that's how Hollywood is, and that's why I can never be a part of that. Because whoever is the it girl, you gotta, or whoever's in right now, whatever is trendy, right? That's why I can never be a VJ like on BET or nothing. You have to talk about that. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
she a it girl. Right? She an idiot. That's what she is. But,
Hey man, it's neither here nor there to me. You know what I mean? She's actually very academically smart, but I'll just say her version of hip hop, her style and music isn't my bag. I'm gonna leave it at that. Because I always come across as the bitter old head that can't let go of the golden era.
Man, listen.
Boom bap forever. So I'm trying to be better in my ways and say, you know what? It ain't my bag. It's not. Or how's my young boy say? It's not my twist. I'll leave it at
I,
that.
listen, as somebody like me that I listen to everything and I have a certain level of appreciation for everything. Meg Thee Stallion, all of them, Cardi B, I can't do, and I understand it's not for me. I understand, but they rub me the wrong way because a lot of their hood shenanigans, a lot of shit they do, a lot of people think that's what you're supposed to do in our culture, like, or people think that's a representation in our fucking culture,
I
and
can
I don't.
only hear so many rhymes about your show child before I'm tired of this. Like, oh, I get it.
Yeah,
It's amazing. Can you rhyme about something else now?
yeah. I
And
mean,
I know that's a whole lane of hip hop. I get it. I know my era we had our two live crews on NWAs who equally as nasty, but but even with that, I did that in dosages. I couldn't bang the whole joint all day long.
and you know what, bro? I think we should do a separate show on that because I remember, um, when Miss Philly Pinterest kind of brought that up, and I think I might have edited that out, but she brought up that that fact as far as, let's just say, Cardi B and Meg versus Lil Kim and Foxy, and I felt like that shit was different. That was very fucking different. So I think we're going to dedicate an
For
episode.
one, just to touch on it, one for one, in that era, they stood alone. They didn't need a whole lot of cameos to keep their albums going, and both of them had bars, and there were no alleged rumors of who wrote what. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, we had them, we had Trina, we had a number, but it to me is different, and I'm gonna say my opinion on that for another show, because I think we definitely need to address that WAP. Oh fuck that shit. We need to address that, because I really felt like I've had a few people kind of come at me about that, and I had some women like really kind of champion that song and thinking like that song is great, and I don't dislike
until you ask them, "Hey, can your 9-year-old listen to
that?" You know what I mean?
And what you trying to say, Jay? No. Answer the question. Can your 9-year-old daughter bang that uncut? Right. No problem.
Right. And
since it's so empowering, and it's such a voice for how you feel about it. Can your 9-year-old rock with that?
It's not. But let's just we're definitely gonna bring them. We're definitely gonna address that. But I kind of want to get back on topic.
And I'm a fan of the WAP. The WAP is delicious. Don't put it out there that I'm anti-WAP.
Yeah,
I like WAP sandwiches. I like WAP salads. I like all kinds.
WAP cheese
sticks.
Yeah. This is about to go off the rails right now. I gotta bring it back before we go off the rails.
All right.
But we end up into a pool of WAP. We're gonna end up into a pool of fucking WAP.
Wait. Let me chew on that thought real quick. Hold up. Okay, I'm back.
When we get off the rails.
My man said a whole pool. I'm gonna sleep tonight.
You know what I mean? But nah, let's back to the topic at hand. We'll dedicate a show for that shit. We might make that the next show, but I mean, I thought personally it was rather interesting that there are select people out there that think certain people, because of who they deal with, don't have a right to speak on certain issues. And I don't understand that concept, me personally. I think the only time that really applies is if you have a certain disdain or disinterest or disassociation with the culture. I mean, and I think that's really my only caveat to that, is if you display those things, and I don't think you should really speak on it, because at the end of the day, your viewpoint is going to come from a very skewed point of view. And I just think that it's kind of unnecessary if you would even do that, because it's not going to be from an open-minded point of view. And but also I just feel as though that I think people need to kind of broaden their minds a bit. And I love O'Shea Duke Jackson. I do. I listen. I highly recommend that brother's content. But I just can't co-sign that you're automatically disqualified if this is who you deal with. And I understand where he comes from, because he's a pro-black dude. He's a very, very pro-black brother. I mean, shit, he don't even live in the United States. He live in Africa. That should tell you, like, he moved from the United States to Africa, and that's where he lived. So that right there tells you how pro-black he is. And he definitely champions our sister, regardless of whatever goes on, regardless of the shit that we as black men deal with when it comes to our sister sometimes. He champions that shit hardcore. So I get where he's coming from. I get it. But, I just feel like that's a case-by-case thing. You know what I mean? I don't think that should be a blanket thing of, well, you got a bunny, so you can't talk about these issues. Like,
for our viewers at home, what is a bunny, Herb?
Yo, it's funny you say that. I watched the YouTube skit where this guy was like kind of having cue cards for his white girlfriend to teach her certain slang, and he was like, put up a card that said Snow Bunny, and she was like, Snow Bunny? It's a white girl, and she was like, but how does that work? Bunnies really don't be in the snow. I was like, what? But I don't know. You got any other thoughts that whole thing, or just this topic in general? Because I
I'm
just
still stuck on that full of WAP, so I think I'm gonna just get off
really,
there.
really, really,
Hey man, I'm a lonely
really.
truck driver, man. What you want me to
Oh
do?
God, oh Lord, Lord,
I
Lord.
don't feel like
All
being
right,
serious this show. I'm gonna be an idiot this show.
all right.
Next show I'll be serious.
You know what? Fuck it then. You know what? Fuck it then. Let's. You know what? I'll add this bad boy. Let's dedicate a little bit of time to the fucking WAP and that shit real quick. You know what?
So
Fuck it. Why
what
not?
is the argument about this song? What is the issue?
All right. So the issue with this song that I've heard is you have a select number of. So let me back up a little bit. So a lot of complaints that a lot of women, especially black women in general, had is that it's too much music out today, especially in the rap industry, that is very derogatory towards women, that sexualizes women and just make them objects. They don't really respect women. And the thing that I don't understand when it comes to that is that as equally as you have women that complain and bitch about these songs that these brothers make when it comes to these rap artists, which I all honesty, I don't totally know because I don't listen to every artist that's out today. You know what I mean? So I only can my education on that is limited. However, you equally have a lot of women that promote these songs. You got IG models that twerking their asses to these songs, and you got bras that they be out in the clubs, and when they hear these songs, oh, that's my shit, blah 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 blah. They on the floor shaking their ass. So as much as people complain about these songs, these people that promote these songs. Now, wow, when this complaint was being made, falling on our laps like a controversial gift from God was the WAP song, and like that's like the complete hardcore example of the shit, but it's coming from women. And so you have a number of women bitching more, and some men bitching even more that this is what the fuck I'm talking about. And then you have a number of women that's calling this shit empowerment. Well, if we gonna be exploited, if we gonna do this, then we might as well do it ourselves. And we're taking control and yada yada yada. They want to talk this feminist empowerment bullshit when it comes to the song. And some people don't even understand or really see an issue with the song. So my what I don't understand, me personally, is this. First of all, let's just keep it 100. Most men is not fucking listening to Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. Most men is not going out. Yeah, let me go cop this Cardi B. Let me go cop this Meg Thee Stallion track or whatever other female rap artist that's out right now. Because most of their content and their music is catered towards women. It's catered towards women talking about men. And most of these women attitude is, well, if men gonna talk about us like that, then we gonna talk about men like that. We gonna talk about how good our pussy is, how fat our asses is, how much men want us, what you gotta do for us. If men gonna rap about this, that, and the third,
Get him
we
drunk and
gonna do the
rob him.
same.
Take him from his
Yeah,
girl. I don't
yeah,
care if
like
he's married. Yada 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 yada
right.
yada yada. And I'm not a big connoisseur of that genre of hip hop, but a lot of the women that come to the studio to do photo shoots, that's usually the main soundtrack that plays in the background. It's usually
Yeah.
Cardi or Megan. Cardi used to be Nicki. I don't know what happened, but whatever. And now it's Cardi and Megan and Cardi and Megan. Listen, y'all got y'all lane. I know y'all like y'all ratchet stuff, but but perplexes me about the whole ratchet thing is that you claim it's empowering, but then if it's so empowering, why don't you want the youth to hear that? That's
Because
my
it's not.
and when I ask that question, I get called you being a chauvinist, you part of patriarch. I said, yo, miss
What?
me with that. I'm telling you, this is what I hear when I question anything in regards to these artists. This is what I hear. I said, you're deflecting. I'm asking you a question. If it's so empowering, why do you not want your daughter listening to that if she's underage? Why not?
Because I damn sure don't. I don't want my daughter listening to
You know
that
what I'm
shit.
saying? You got
Let's
the
call
right.
it what it
You
is.
have, and I was talking to some homies today at the truck stop today. I said, I don't have a problem with the music and that branch of hip hop. It is what it is. We had our own branch in the hip hop era, no problem. My problem is that if you conduct yourself in a ratchet way all the time, you can't automatically demand respect from every man that doesn't view that behavior as appropriate. You can't.
Mm-hmm.
The same way if a dude is constantly drinking, constantly smoking, doesn't have any ambition, constantly rude, constantly abrasive, can't demand respect from every woman, because some women are attracted to that type of dude and some women detest that type of dude.
Right.
That's just simple human nature. Everybody's not going to roll with your behavior. Your behavior has consequences. Am I telling you what you can or cannot do? No, you'd be wasting your breath completely,
Right.
because you grown and I'm grown. But what I am going to tell you is that I don't have to accept that behavior as appropriate. And I don't.
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't. And you can't make me. No matter how fine you are, no matter how many degrees you got, if you roll like that, I'm going to leave you on the shelf. And then I get labeled weak and a beta because I can't deal with your behavior. Get the fuck out of here. I just don't like your behavior.
It just, you don't have to. That's the reality.
I don't have to.
That's just, you know what I mean? It's just that we're told we're supposed to accept certain things.
No.
But then at the same time, as women, they don't have to accept anything.
And it's such a huge double standard, because I feel as though if a woman meets me and she clashes with my personality, she clashes with my sarcasm and my honesty, and she's not feeling me, that's within her right. I'm not going to judge her as a woman over that. We're just not compatible. But I do not, most of the time, I do not get that same courtesy or do not get that same respect if I don't accept her behavior. And that's an issue.
Right.
It's an issue.
Right. And going back to the song and the kind of the controversy behind the song, what I find very interesting and kind of annoying is the fact that women seem to be very confused as to how they want to feel about the song. And somehow it comes back to, well, this is men's fault. No, not at all. No, we have nothing to do with this. Most men don't really give a fuck about the song like that, other than it's a good song to play in the club. I mean, like, it's a good song to play at the strip club.
I agree with you on that. And I constantly hear this from women on my Facebook page and sometimes on my Instagram page, that I'm exploiting women by posting beautiful women. And my reply is always the same. I'm sorry, do you mean the women who pose professionally for a photograph, who are full of who all the goodies and nookies are fully covered up? She's not engaged in a sexual act. I'm sorry, you talking about that woman, but in the same time you want to promote an artist like Megan or Cardi on your page, who's wearing less clothing than the women that I post on my page?
Right.
I'm so confused.
How about
so confused. So when it comes to that exploitation thing, in some degrees we're responsible, in some degrees we aren't. Because no man is responsible for the 198% increase in OnlyFans accounts since the pandemic. That's not a man's fault.
Nope.
Man can't make you do that.
Nope. And I feel like if you want to complain about how women are being exploited and all this other rhetoric that and we've had women on our Facebook page say that, come at us about that. Then when this type of shit pops up, then y'all need to be mad at that, and y'all need to come at the people that is responsible for that. Don't turn around and make it seem like it's still a men issue, because it's not. It's not. Now, the other thing that I've noticed about it that I thought was very, very interesting is the fact that, again, as I said before, you have this group of women that's finding this song and this video empowering because of the fact that it's women controlling how they're being exploited. That just sounds completely moronic to me. Exploitation is exploitation. Either you're gonna be mad about it or you're not. And then I've had the argument, and this is going to tie into what we were discussing earlier, that this is no different than when you had artists like Trina, like Lil Kim, like Foxy Brown, and shit like that out making their music back when we was younger. And to me personally, that shit is drastically different. It's drastically different. And the reason why I say it's drastically different is, for one, you wasn't completely being smacked in the face with that content of music. You had female artists that had their lane with that. You had female artists like Queen Latifah, like MC Light, that kind of had their own lane when it came to style of music. And today's female rap artists, right?
Mainstream.
I actually looked this up. The top 10 commercially selling female artists, I think 8 of them rap about the exact same shit that Meg, that Nicki, that Cardi, all of them rap the same shit about. There's no lyricists amongst them. There's no real artists. I think there's only 2. I think there's one chick. I think she's like I think she's a gay artist, and I think she's from New York or something. And then there's the one you like, Rhapsody.
Mm-hmm.
And
who gets no media play,
right?
No media expense, no media expense. And Rhapsody, if you don't know who she is, Rhapsody has bars for days.
Right.
Days. To rhyme with the likes of Kendrick and with the likes of Black Thought and Hold Your Own, that takes bars.
Right.
And if you don't know what bars are, just Google that shit. I ain't got time to explain to you what bars are. Hello? Hello?
My bad. Yeah, my bad. I got a call.
What the hell?
Yeah, I got a call. So, and to me, it seems like in today's female rapper landscape, that's the only thing that is being bombarded with, and that's the only thing that sell and make money and get played on the radio. So, back when we had Lil Kim, and even now, right? The stuff that Lil Kim did and the stuff that Trina did seems tame compared to the shit that we have now. Ironically enough, in this cancel culture, it seems fucking tame. Like, I know at one point Lil Kim was banned in certain cities for her content. Now you got artists that make shit 10 times worse than some of her tracks. Like, real shit. I know at one point Trina was only could be played in certain areas because of that shit. You know what I mean? But
that is because of the change in priorities and the change in the message of the music.
Mm-hmm.
Conscious rap, for the most part, is about 99.9% eliminated. You're not going to hear about unity. You're not going to hear about togetherness. You're not going to hear about Black Power on major platforms. You're not.
I mean,
that includes BET. You're going to hear that shit during the month of February. Or for Black movies out that month, you'll hear for that month. After that, it's gone. You're never going to hear on a major radio. Never.
I mean, you might get an occasional track from a Kendrick.
That's why I said 98.9%.
Yeah. You know,
and that has been traded in for promotion of drug use, promotion of violence, promotion of self, promotion of division, promotion of the ratchet. Because the emphasis now and the interest now on hip-hop, for the most part, if you don't agree, list the comments. I don't really care if you don't agree. I really don't. It's more emphasis on it's more emphasis on the beat than lyrical content. Half the time, you don't even really hear what the artist is saying until you listen to it for the third or fourth time. I've asked people why you like a certain artist, why are you into this, why are you into trap, and the first answer is almost always the beat. Mm-hmm. Whereas hip hop is supposed to be about a poetic way to express yourself. Rap stands for rhythmic American poetry. That's what rap stands for. Yeah. And it's totally going off that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, I know music changes, but when it changes, if the most of the scope is destructive, that's a problem.
Right.
And y'all think it's just the old heads hating. Old heads feel bad for y'all. Because y'all don't release timeless classics no more that are going to be being heard like 20 years from now. Ain't nobody bumping Soulja Boy no more. Ain't nobody going to be bumping no Little Yachty in the next 30 years. or
No.
Future 30 years from now?
Yeah,
Nobody.
you got very few classics now. You know
Very
what I
few
mean?
classics.
And I just feel like
Mm-hmm.
when I hear the argument that is no different than that, no, it's very different because the quality of music was different. What the options that you had, the different styles was different. You got pretty much most of the female artists doing the same thing because once they saw Nicki and they saw, hey, if you got a fat ass, if you wear provocative outfits,
Gimmick.
and you know what I mean, if you look like this on stage, you know, motherfuckers is gonna go ahead and rock with you. And you say songs cater to the women, and you look good for the men. That's how you gonna get put on. That's how you gonna get money. And my whole thing is, I don't knock nobody hustle. I don't like that's that. If that's what you're doing to make your bread, cool. Like just, but own that shit. Acknowledge that shit. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear it where it make it seem like, oh well, this is not happening. You just being old or you just being a hater. No, that's what the fuck it is. That's what the fuck it is, and it's bombarded with it. And for me, I'm a parent of a 15-year-old, and fortunate for me, my daughter is very selective in the things she listens to because of the fact that she has two parents that listen to a myriad of different kinds of music, of different genres of music. You know what I mean? So to her, a lot of that stuff is kind of noise. She hears it, but it's kind of noise. But not everybody's going to have that view. Not everybody's going to look at it that way. And I just think that I'm not saying that shit needs to be censored. No, I would never say that. But I think there needs to kind of be a much better understanding of what the target audience is when it comes to these fucking songs and this music and shit like that. And understand that in this day and age where everything is so easily fucking accessible, you know, you gotta be mindful or conscious of that shit. And I don't want to emphasize, I don't hate the song. I found the song and the video rather entertaining, to be honest with you.
Oh, I love the WAP. It was very sexy, and we're not crapping on the tracks or the artists. We're crapping on the way it's being defended, as if it's an empowering theme. Like, oh, if that's how you feel, say I don't agree.
No, that shit.
It's a nasty track. I posted a track from a classic NWA album, 100 Miles and Running, called She Swallowed It, which is 1,000 times worse than WAP. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Look it up. It's 1,000 times worse than WAP. I promise you that.
But ain't nobody trying to make it seem like that's an empowering song for me. Ain't nobody. Hey, listen, we know it's a nasty ass song. It is what the fuck it is. We're not trying to promote it to be anything else. It was never marketed for young kids or young girls or whatever, or make it the catchy thing for the summer or for the fall or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I heard somebody. I heard some older person say something about, yeah, I got that WAP. And I was like,
oh God,
you really don't know what that is, do you? do you? Oh, and one sidebar when it comes to that video, yo, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there were so many sisters mad that Kylie Jenner, or is it Kylie Jenner?
Yeah,
Kylie Jenner was in the video.
I wasn't mad about it, but I'm biased because I hate the entire Kardashian family. I don't like no member of the clique. They are cultural vultures. They are the most untalented, uncreative specimens on the planet Earth. That's how I feel about them. If you like them, that's what's up. I don't. They are talentless entities. I don't like that family. I don't like them at all. I ain't hating because I don't want to be them. I don't want my daughter coming up off that kind of tape. So go ahead with that. You hating stuff, Jay.
I was indifferent. I was just finding it funny that they saw her in the outfit that she was in, and she wasn't really. And a lot of like Losses was hating, but also Losses was mad because of the fact that it seemed like some of the reaction that I seen online was the brothers being more complimentary about her outfit and what she had on, how she looked, than everybody else in the video. So I don't know. I saw it. They all got ass as far as I'm concerned. Ass is ass. So I was just enjoying the ass parade as far as I'm concerned. So I'm indifferent. I agree with you, Jay. They some talentless broads. But as I said before, I don't knock anybody hustle. They found a hustle and they made money off of it. More power to them. You know what I mean? I'm not. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like Jay, like fuck them.
Fuck 'em.
You know what I mean? Like I don't knock anybody hustle, man. If they make money off of that, go ahead. Like, because the reality is, in order for them to make money, somebody gotta be dumb enough to fucking want to consume their product, whatever the fuck it is that they put out, and people and
I say the exact same thing in hip hop. You can't complain about artists not having talent and artists not being original and yada yada yada. When y'all support the bum artists, y'all support the trash artists.
Yeah.
Y'all make the mumble rappers and the crappy trap rappers get 4 mics in the magazines and be getting the Grammys, and then wonder why ain't no real bars in hip hop. Because y'all support that.
Yep.
Hip hop began in the streets, and the streets still run it. But if what you support is trash, trash is what they will put out. No problem.
Yep. And that's just how it is. It's just how it is. So, I mean, that's as far as the WAP song. That's kind of the controversy or the issue behind it. I really just feel like, you can't compare it to the tracks and artists that we had way back when, because the time was different, the era was different, and the reality is that you had a variety of artists that did different things back then. And in 2020, the artists here, that's all you really have when it comes to female rappers. That's just chicks that walk
mainstream
around.
Rappers, female rappers. That's all the industry's pushing out. That's all it is. And don't tell me, well, she has to be sexually provocative to sell records. Stop.
And then
Bahamadia, Queen Latifah, Roxanne Shante, MC Light, Moni Love. I can go on and on and on. And Salt and Pepper, on and on and on and on.
And then blame men for it. Then say it's men's fault that they have to do that. No. The women choose to do that.
No,
it's not a man. That's not. You can't sit there and blame men, because the main selling female rap artists today always perform half naked with their ass hanging out. You know what I mean? And again,
the main people that support those records are women.
Right. I don't know
no dude that own Cardi or that own Auto 6 albums like flat out for real.
Yeah, no, I don't.
I mean, he might spin it, but y'all buying the albums, y'all going to the concerts.
I don't. Right, exactly. Like when you see a Meg or a Cardi concert, how many dudes you gonna see there? How many dudes you gonna see there? They only there because they with the chick and probably paid and hoping they get ass that night. That's all that is. Trust me when I tell you. They just like, all right, listen, I'm gonna go pay for these. I'm gonna get her liquored up. She gonna sing all these. She gonna be rapping all these nasty ass songs. And then when it's over, guess what's gonna happen? I'm gonna get that wet ass. I'm gonna get that WAP. That's what the fuck he doing. Mm-hmm. I promise you. If he ain't sitting there singing the lyrics to all that shit. He not sitting there partying and going all crazy with his chick or whoever he with over Cardi B songs. No, sorry. I don't believe that. I don't. I think there's a tiny percentage of dudes that do that. No. So that is my issue and my argument when it comes to that shit. I just think that people need to put this shit in perspective as to what it is. Do I have an issue with the song? Absolutely not. Would I want my 15-year-old listening to that song? Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. I believe that it belongs in certain environments, it belongs in certain situations, but to call that shit empowering and then at the same time say that it's men's fault that women are doing this shit, yo, man, y'all need to shut that shit up. That's my issue and my argument when it comes to that. And no, it's not the same as
if you're gonna claim it's empowering, also claim the exploitation. If that's the forefront of hip hop and that's who you want representing you in hip hop and you promote that, stand by them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
But I'm not,
because you're not gonna blame. You can't. I'm not to blame for Megan's success. I don't spend her music on Spotify. Man, I don't.
Listen.
I'm just saying.
that shit goes nowhere near my Spotify account. She might pop up on an occasional guest role on somebody else's track, and I ain't know. You know what I mean? Hell, if I'm not driving, I might even skip her fucking part, as far as I'm concerned, if it's bad. So it's definitely not over here. It's not over here. But no, I don't hate the song, but I just think people need to put that shit in perspective and just put the music and hip hop industry in general into perspective. And I understand that the music is what it is, but you can't have two different arguments about something that women are co-signing. That's just how it is.